say I should take French again because it's a romantic language just like Spanish. Same with Italian, yes. So those ones are very connected with Spanish, French, and Italian. Yep. And then
You
German.
want some?
Yep. German, I know Ich liebe dich, which is I love you, and Guten Morgen, and Bitteschön, and Gesundheit. Uh, and my last name is Wurzinger. If you were in Germany, we have gone to Würzburg, or we saw Würzburg, and there's a town in Germany. So I should know German, and when people see my name, they go, I don't remember what the word for German is. I know in Spanish, Alemán, but I can't, I don't know. I should know. But I visited Germany and I have a really good German friend that speaks English. She was my host brother. I do know about, you mean Krampus, Ellie. Yep. Okay, we're getting off topic. What? I know. It's so easy to do. Uh, yes. Okay, let's go to Schoology, and I want you to download. It is 17A. Oh, sorry, or in your workbook, 17A. Notice what are all portraits. So as you're finding it, we can still talk. I see you guys were still doing some German. Yes, yes, Berkeley. I would do some ice cream. I want lots of ice cream. I love ice cream. Okay, so I'm putting notice under about portraits in.
You're very green right now.
Okay. It is because
So
I'm
what are we supposed to?
17A in Notability or in your workbook. Oh, beautiful.
I already did the stuff that was just on your screen.
Yes, we did most of it. So you know what? I'm just going to show you again, and I'm going to have you. I'm going to just have you fill this in really quickly with a group. Actually, you know what? I think you should be able to do most of this by yourself, and then we'll quickly review with our maybe a mini group. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want you to do because we did this yesterday, and I want you to write down a couple of the things that we did yesterday. Yep. If you've already done this, then be prepared to share because, yes, we did this in detail yesterday, but we never wrote anything down. Okay, so this is the first portrait. Okay, so under each, what we're going to do more in detail today is the I wonder, though. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I want you under each, Chief Joseph, I want you to write, what do you see when you first look at this portrait? So what is something that we see? I want you to write down what is he wearing, describe the expression on his face, and what do you see in the background of the picture? Okay, I'll give you about a couple minutes to do this, and then we can do the I wonder together. So here is the portrait, Chief Joseph. Let me so everybody should be writing on 17A. I know when you write with chat, sometimes it can be a little distracting. You like English class because we talk about really weird things like other languages and okay, so you should be writing a couple things. What did you see when you first saw the portrait? What was he wearing? Try to think back to yesterday. Describe the expression on his face. I remember, I think it was either Wyatt or Oliver had said the longer you look at it, the more his face changes. And then the background.
I think that
it was Matthias that said that.
Maybe Matthias? Okay. It was one of our gentlemen. We don't have very many guys in our class. You already finished? You can add a couple things to it in just a second, so just relax. And I'm going to do the I wonder. We can do that as a class, some of the I wonders. And if you don't have this, then you can add to the I wonder. Bailey, did you have an I wonder? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have an I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
One of my I wonders was he thinking of something important?
Ah. Important. Okay. Somebody else raised their hand.
And
Oh, yeah.
also I had how old was he when that portrait was done?
Ooh, that's a good question. That one we might be able to find on the internet. How old was he? Sienna.
How long did it take for the painter to paint him?
Those are good islanders. How long did the painting take? Now, with your I wonders, ladies and gentlemen, because you're filling out everything else, you can do your own I wonders, or you can choose a couple of mine. You only need to put a couple I wonders. Did anybody else have a I wonder that you are going to write or that you would like to write? Or already did?
I have another one.
What's your other one?
Why did he choose that background?
Yeah, that's something we kind of discussed. We made some inferences. Why did he choose that background? I know some of you guys wrote down, I wonder why he has even those, that attire on, or what does the face paint mean? This was from yesterday. Let's see. What I'm trying to think of some other wonders.
Does the color of his clothes represent something?
Ah. Again, you do not have to write all of them. I would do a couple of your own I wonders, or if you wanted to write a couple of mine, that's fine. Or the ones that we have. Yes. Bailey, did you have something else?
I also have, why was he sad, mad, shy, worried at that time?
Oh, so maybe I can broaden that. So why is he showing these emotions? I like it. Beautiful. Okay. I'm trying to give you guys some time to fill this out because yes, we did most of this yesterday, but I want you just to kind of review it.
We're going to do them all today, the White Cloud and George Washington.
I think we're going to just do some of the parts. We're not going to do all of them because a lot of you shared yesterday. Okay, so for
Are we gonna?
Oh, yeah.
Are we gonna have to do this for our homework?
No, we're gonna do it kind of right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we don't have to do the first ones because we already talked about it. So can somebody describe the expression on, we're looking at White Cloud now. I'm on the second page. We're not going to do them all. because a lot of them we talked about yesterday. I just wanted you to do the first one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't really describe though. Let's compare the expressions on their face. Sienna or Bailey, I see have your hands up. How would you describe White Cloud's expression?
I have distracted, wondering, staring at something important, and worried.
Ooh, wondering, looking at something important. And would you say worrying?
Yeah, worried.
Okay. What else did other people write? I think Harper, you had some.
I said that he looks like he's just like kind of a straight face and he's not looking forward, he's looking like to the side and he doesn't look like he's very happy.
Okay, so I'm going to write emotionless, not happy. Riley or Bailey?
I see his expression had a little smile, but serious.
So slight, serious smile. So again, you don't have to write all of these, but I would choose some that you particularly think he looks like. And then
Also have angry.
a little bit of angry. And then let's compare the backgrounds. So I think what you guys said yesterday is that you can tell me, Bailey?
In the background, I see a blue sky with white clouds.
Okay, so we have, some of you guys are writing it too. Blue sky with white
I
clouds.
wrote that it was kind of like different shades of like white because they're kind of like yellowish green at some points and sometimes they're just kind of white.
Yeah, so many types of colors. Because it's not, yeah, just one blank one. And they look very fluffy. I also see a little bit of, it looks like maybe some trees kind of down in the corner. But does it make the picture, would you say, look brighter or darker? Somebody can just tell me.
Brighter.
It's weird because usually to me the like background usually makes it like kind of look brighter, but this one kind of looks like just like a droopy cloudy day.
Ah,
So to me it doesn't really make it look better.
okay. So,
Look like it would be a really happy day, like sunshine, yay! It's like looks like it could be raining.
yeah. So it might brighten it up, yeah, but it might make it's actually it's because it's fluffy and in some of the clouds they're not the bright white that you'd normally see on a sunny day. They're kind of like you guys said the kind of look like rain is coming in the forecast. Okay. So let's compare the bottom two with George Washington then. Because I know we talked the first part. Could somebody describe this expression, Bailey?
Thoughtful and like strong.
Okay. Harper.
I said like how the other ones like White Cloud and Chief Joseph look like they're like ready to do it. He just kind of looks like relaxed.
So he doesn't really look like he's got like important, well, he probably has important things to do, but he's probably got more time, right? He's not preparing for war, I guess. Sienna?
He looks relaxed but also sweet.
Oh, yes. Hmm.
Looks like maybe serious, like strong and serious.
Hey. I know one of the things that I noticed with Chief Joseph is he's very weathered. He looks like we talked about how he had a lot of kind looks to his face, but he also had a lot of time that affected his face. Does one of these people look like they have the experience of time?
I think White
Looks
Cloud does.
really old.
Who looks older?
I think George Washington looks older, but like we know he's older because he kind of like acts like that in the picture, but he doesn't really look that old. Like actually, White Cloud looks like he's like older.
Okay. So looks like so yeah, so maybe I'm gonna add that actually up here. So he just looking at his face, he has the experience of or he has more it seems like more experience, so looks older. Somebody else, Bailey raised their hand.
I think like he is really relaxed because he can just sit there and like yeah, like he's not rushing anything. He's just sitting there and being calm.
He's taking his time.
Yeah. Iris.
Yes, but also I feel like I see some wrinkles on George Washington's face,
Mm-hmm.
and also his hair is very white. But also they used to put powder in their hair
Mm-hmm.
or in their wigs. So maybe that's it, but
Yeah. Well, yeah. So if you think about, I mean, the cultural times, I mean, yeah, you're right. A lot of the old white men, they used to have their hair as white as possible. They used to wear wigs or, yeah, powder in their hair. And if you notice, White Cloud, he's got red dye in his hair under, a little bit underneath some of these feathers. So, huh, interesting. So he's got wrinkles, yeah. Matthias?
I was also going to say that George Washington looked older.
Yeah, he looks I'm not sure who's older in this because I mean, if you're going to fight on
Well, White Cloud looks really young.
he
Looks
looks
like
yeah. He looks like
I
yes, you guys can talk. I'd rather have you talk. Riley?
I think White Cloud's younger because he's like it looks like he's ready to dance or go to like a powwow.
Mm,
Because he
yeah.
has all the fancy stuff on.
And it would
Because
be hard to
an old
imagine like
person,
a George Washington old person wearing those clothes.
yeah.
yeah,
Um
like an old person probably wouldn't go to a powwow, or well, like they maybe would, but like sit down, like wait.
mhm. Iris or Sienna?
I looked up how old George Washington was in this photo, and he was only 67 years old.
Oh. Okay. Well, thanks for looking it up. Iris?
yes. So I feel like in the George Washington photo, he also looks kind of evil, like 'cause his eyes are like so yeah.
They're very sunken, is usually what they use to describe your eyes. When you get older, they kind of sink into your head with time. And his eyes, I mean, he looks like he's got a little bit of bags under his eyes, so maybe sleep, but I mean, his eyes are very puff, like they're not sunken in
They're
like,
like young.
yeah. And think about it, if you are an older white gentleman during this time, you might, well, in this day, they didn't have as much modern medicine, but maybe you would live longer. Whereas if you think of White Cloud during this time, there was a lot of wars between mini tribes, or there was now these big wars between the United States. And actually, we're talking about the big Dakota Minnesotan War in sixth grade. And so a lot of people died. So are they going to live to a really long age during this time if they're a Maine warrior? Iris or Sienna, you have something else to add?
Um, I also know that White Cloud was older than George Washington because he was 50
Okay.
and George Washington was 67.
Okay. Is that when, because you looked it up, is that when that picture was made, or was that how old he lived? White Cloud.
When the picture was made.
Okay, so thank you for looking those pieces up. That actually helps us kind of put a timepiece. Yeah, so he was a little more than 10 years older than White Cloud. Hmm. But I think of it too when you think back at Chief Joseph. Remember? One of the things that tends to age you a whole bunch is the sun. Yep. There's two things that actually make us old. And no, the first one is the sun, and the second one is oxygen. Because every time you breathe oxygen, oxygen is the thing that keeps you alive, but it also slowly ages and kills you because it allows you to stay alive, but it also breaks down your cells a little bit. So that's why, I mean, your body creates more cells. That's why you live a long time. But your skin oxygenates, which is why you get some of these wrinkles and your skin gets a little bit thinner with time. And the sun also breaks down with age. So that's why you get more wrinkles. Now, Chief Joseph spent a lot of time outside. I don't know if George Washington spent a lot of time outside. I would assume White Cloud, too, since they're very in tune with nature, spent a lot of time outside. So maybe some of his weathering looks, his older pictures, is because of the sun.
You can't really tell with
Um,
the red paint on his.
Yes, it hides a lot of potential wrinkles and some of that age.
can I tell you when this was made and what's the artist?
Yes, George Catlin was the artist here.
Yeah, and it was made in 1844 to 1845.
Oh, so 1 year to do this picture. What about Gilbert Stuart? Do you know how long that took or when?
It sounds like she's typing it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
And Sienna, how old was White Cloud again? He was 50, what? 50,
Just 50.
just 50? Because, yeah, these are some good facts. And then George Washington, you said was 67? Okay.
Okay. Um, okay, here, I found it. It's made by Gilbert Stuart, I think.
Yep.
So, and it doesn't really say anymore.
It doesn't really explain it. Let's see if I can find it. So, George. Wow, I cannot spell George today.
It said it was made in 1803, I think.
Okay.
Here it is. Culture American, date 1803.
Okay, so it was significantly, I mean, it was almost 50 years earlier. I mean, about 40 years earlier. So I mean, think about even the timeline when they created this and then when
It
they
looks
created,
pretty, the George Washington one looks pretty black and white.
yeah, it does. So really quickly with the background, since we're talking, we're looking more at it, the background is dark. Okay, and very, like you said, chromatone, so it's black and white. And there's a new artistic word for you, chromatone.
When I looked the George Washington up, I saw the background and it was way lighter. It was like a chalkboard background.
Oh, so maybe a little bit different. Sienna.
I have an I wonder for George Washington.
Hmm.
I wonder what type of paint they use because a lot of people when they're painting portraits they use like oil paints.
Yeah. Oil paints don't break down as much. So what type of paint?
You wrote dark black and white.
Oops, I'll fix that. Paint did they use? So this is supposed to be, I'm sorry, this was supposed to be the word chromatome. Chrome, oh, so chromatone, it means chrome, black and white, and then tone is that color. Yeah, somebody else had something.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay. I look. You know how I looked up White Cloud. They used oil paints, like Sienna said. Like usually they use that for portraits.
Okay, Nora.
For the background
Mm-hmm.
picture, I wrote that it's just like a black color, so it's very plain and doesn't really show anything that could be very important or anything very colorful.
Yeah, I think we talked about that yesterday. So the focus is on George Washington. Yeah, so it really makes sure that there's not really anything else that's important except for him. Whereas maybe, yeah, he's got a little bit more in his background. Bailey.
I have an I wonder about the background.
Yeah.
Why did like the first few presidents do a brown or black background instead of like the American flag?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, because that would be, to me, patriotic. Well, and the American flag did change throughout time. That would have been a cool historical mark. So why not a flag? hmm Okay. So good job, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted us just to kind of review this. Like I said, we didn't fill in everything because I wanted you to kind of look at these. Let's see. Beautiful. And I wanted you to, yeah, to rethink about what it means with the leadership. So finally, so you can turn this in, but I want to finally ask you so back to our original question. Actually, let's look, there's a couple different things. What might it mean that each leader was painted alone? So if you look at all of these portraits, they're painted by themselves, right? Why do you think they were painted by themselves? Anybody have an idea?
Maybe so you could like really see them, not like with another bunch of people in the background. It was just because they were important.
Okay. Anybody else have a good idea or a good inference or a prediction?
For people to remember them? I don't know.
They were considered, remember our question today is continuing from yesterday. What does a deeper exploration of portraits reveal about leadership? Does it really highlight their leadership?
I think it would highlight their leadership even more if they actually put other people to show that they were the leader of those people.
Maybe if you had people in the background, maybe you would maybe focus on the people in the background more than the person that's um in the front. Or if there's people in the background, the person who is painting it wants to paint people in the background and they just keep moving because like they can't just keep still, and maybe he'd get like distracted by them.
That's a good prediction. Yeah. So continuing on, we're almost done. What we're going to do, so here's some things that you can think about when you look back at those questions. So these ones are things that the book has maybe talked about. So how does George Catlin show White Cloud's strength in his portrait? Okay, and we did kind of talk about that, especially in his face. Think about, actually, some of you guys remember how we talked about the positioning and their clothes too? Yesterday we talked about how they've got really, George Washington has a very stiff, starched outfit. And his, I mean, even look at his posture, how you present yourself. That's why even when you take school pictures, you know how they have you sit up straight? And then, because that actually will help you look more confident in your pictures. Okay. Does there anybody else have any other ways that you could show that the George Catlin shows strength in White Cloud's portrait or confident in George Washington's? So how is this showing strength and how is this showing confidence? Does anybody have an idea? Anna, did you raise your hand? Oh no. Riley.
In the White Cloud, like he has all these animals and like bones on his necklace. I think that would show strength because maybe he killed them or something, and like he has feathers and all.
Okay. Great thought. What do you think? Anybody else? How does he show confidence? He's standing up straight, looking ahead. Harper?
I think like the whole picture kind of shows confidence because he's like his posture really shows it, and he's like the way his like the way that he has his clothes on, like kind of like important looking. I think that just kind of, yeah.
Very nice. Thanks for sharing, you guys. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're actually pretty much done for the day, but I'm going to have you do I got one more thing. So I want you finally to write a paragraph kind of explaining how did your idea of leadership grow in the last couple days. So not only did we first discuss, so if you remember, we first talked about, well, what is a leader? Okay. But we actually looked at portraits of different kinds of leaders at different times and with different cultures. So there isn't just one type of leader. I know some of you guys talked about how your parents would be a leader, or Kamala Harris, or people in history. But how did when you looked at, could you see leaders just by looking at a portrait of them? Could you figure out how they were just by looking at their face? Okay. So for today, I want to make sure that you turn in your notice and wonder about portraits. And we have a quick write. So your final thing for today is to do, it's called Lesson 17, Quick Write on Leadership. And the question is, and you need to write a paragraph. So when you go submit, so you just need to click on it, submit, and I'm going to put these pictures in here too. How has your idea of leadership changed after discussing it yesterday and today? Okay. How has looking at the portraits enhanced your understanding of what a leader is? So I want you to write a paragraph. Ladies and gentlemen, how many sentences is a paragraph? At least?
5.
At least 5. Okay. So you can use, should you use evidence? Yes, of the pictures. So when I look at the picture of Chief Joseph, or when I look at the picture of White Crow, okay, so I put these pictures here, that way you can see them a little bit better. I want you to include some evidence and tell me, how has your idea of leadership changed? And you can also include what you originally said. So I originally said, that might be a good intro, that my mother was a good leader because she teaches me how to be good in the world. But I also learned that you can, my idea of leadership has changed because we talked about leaders here. Okay, so you can tell me what you originally said about a leader and how it's changed. Does that make sense? Okay, so for the rest of the time, I want you to turn in your sheet that 17A, and then I want you to write a quick paragraph on leadership, okay? When you are done,
Just 17, like all the 3 pages for 17A?
At least turn in the first one if you wrote it down, okay? So if you wrote it down, just take a picture of the first one, okay? If you did it PDF, you can turn in the second one. Then write your quick write. When you've turned it in, then you can leave. So Madison, Jacob, Bailey, Aaron, and Karsten, you have already finished, so you can leave.
There's only 12 people left. That's not.
Mm.
Could you scroll it down to the question again?
Yes, that way you can see it as you're typing. There you go, nice and big. That way if you need to do a doble pantalla.
I'm just writing it in my notebook.
That works.